Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. Today, we will start a new chapter in history, and that is in the earliest cities. This chapter deals with the earliest cities which were found in the Indian subcontinent, and these cities are known as the cities of Harappan civilization. And in this regard, first of all, we will understand the importance of old buildings. Uh, just we will see in this box. Jaspal and Harpreet were playing cricket in the lane outside their home when they noticed the people who were admiring the dilapidated old building that the children called the haunted house. So what happened that Jaspal and Harpreet, just like you, they are also uh, small children who are playing cricket in the lane. And when they were playing cricket, they noticed that some people were there who were admiring the uh, dilapidated means old and broken, something which is in a very bad condition. So there was an old building, and the condition of the building was very bad, and it was so bad that the children used to call it the haunted house, the house which is full of ghosts. So now, what Jaspal and Harpreet noticed that some people are there and they are admiring the old building, and they heard the conversation also. One of the men was saying, "Look at the architecture." And then one of the women asked, "Have you seen the fine wood carving?" So now Jaspreet and Harpreet and Jaspal came to know that the architecture of this building is so good. They were not aware, and they considered it as only a haunted house. But now they come to know that at present the house condition of the house is very bad. It is in a old and broken condition. But in earlier times, this building must be a very beautiful building. So, what they also heard that people were saying that we must write to the minister so that he makes arrangement to repair and preserve this beautiful house. So it now it became clear that this old building is a really very important building, and people are now talking and people are now preparing to write to the ministry so that this house can be repaired and preserved. So in this way, we see that the old buildings are very much important for us. And many times these old buildings have something to say. There is a story inside the building which is not known to the people. People are not knowing the story behind this building. And whenever the historian, the archaeologist uh, go there and they do excavation and they do many kind of various sources are used by these historians and archaeologists, then uh, the story behind the building come forth, and people become aware of the importance of that building. So such an incident took place in the Indian continent when railway lines were being laid down for the first time in the Punjab, and it is the incident of nearly 150 years ago. In this regard, you must know that the first train in India moved between Bombay and Thane. At that time, it was not Mumbai; it was Bombay. So the first train was moved between Bombay and Thane in the year 1850. 1853. And after that, what happened that at that time we were under the British rule. Just wait a moment, I am underlining this and then I will explain you, because this is important sentence, and you must know the information which is given in this sentence. So, the first train was started between Bombay and Thane in the year 1853, and India was under the British rule at that time. And with this, British started to develop the transportation system of India, because they have to trade in India, they have to carry goods from one place to another place, and then there was also need of fast means of transport for the deployment of army personnel also. So, British government in India promoted railway the system as a means of transport. And for that purpose, what is the first requirement? The first requirement is uh, railway lines should be laid down. Okay, railway lines will be laid down, then wagons will be prepared, and then the railway will start to move. So, in this regard, railway lines were started to be laid down, and this work of railway lines was going on in Punjab. And you know, Punjab is in India, okay, but one Punjab is there in Pakistan also. Actually, there was a single Punjab. Before independence of India, there was only one Punjab. Okay. But when India got independence, with independence, what happened? India was also divided. है ना? India का partition हुआ. India became two country. One was India and the another was Pakistan. तो जब इंडिया का डिवीजन होता है, जब पार्टीशन होता है, तो एट दैट टाइम व्हाट हैपेंड कि पंजाब का भी पार्टीशन होता है, पंजाब को भी टू पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया जाता है. ठीक है. द ईस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान वाज इन इंडिया, it is still in India, and the western part of Pakistan is western part of Punjab is in Pakistan. Okay, so uh, at that time, there was only one Punjab, but at present, there is two Punjab, one in India and the another is in Pakistan. So, when railway, and this is the time we are talking about which year? Around 1850s. ठीक है, we are talking about the decade of 1850s and 60s. तो जब पंजाब में रेलवे लाइन बिछाई जा रही थी, okay, when railway lines were laid down for the first time in Punjab, what happened that for the purpose of laying down of the railway lines, uh, the engineers were there, the workers were there, and workers were digging the ground. And then what happened? That the engineers stumbled upon the site of Harappa. Okay, उन्हें कुछ mound सा मिला. Mound means a structure like this. This is called mound. Okay, so when the process of laying down of the railway lines was going on, the engineers uh, met, they found a mound, okay, and this mound was a rich source of ready-made high quality bricks. What the engineers found, that this mound which they found during the digging process, they found that this mound was a rich source of ready-made high quality bricks. And so what they did, they started carrying off thousands of bricks from the walls of the old building of the city to build railway lines. In order to uh, complete the construction work, there was need of bricks. And when they were digging the ground, they uh, found a mound like structure, and this mound was full of ready-made high quality bricks. So what they started carrying off the bricks from that mound. Okay, and there they found so many old buildings. Okay, so many old buildings were also there, and they started using the bricks of the bricks from the walls of the old buildings. Okay, in order to build the railway lines. Many buildings were completely destroyed. So they were not knowing that the bricks they were using, the old buildings which they were witnessing, these these bricks were the remains of the earliest cities of the subcontinent. They were not aware. Okay, and that happened, and in this process what happened that these old buildings were completely destroyed because uh, the workers and the engineers they were using the bricks of the old building. So when they will use the bricks of the old building, then the building will be destroyed, obviously, isn't it? So the buildings were destroyed. Then what happened about 80 years ago? About 80 years ago, archaeologists found the site and realized this was one of the oldest cities in the subcontinent. So the incident which we have discussed just now, that incident is about 150 years ago, and then about 80 years ago, the team of archaeologists uh, were doing all kind of excavation there at that site only, and they realized that this was one of the oldest cities in the subcontinent. Okay, and the first city which was discovered was in Punjab, and the name of this city was Harappa. Okay, so these city all other sites from where similar buildings were found were described as Harappan. So this was the as the first city uh, which was found by the archaeologist, and this was the city of Harappa. And because of this Harappa, the all sites from where similar type of buildings were found by the archaeologist, all these sites were described as Harappan. Okay, so these sites developed about 4,700 years ago. So now you can answer the question ki why we call the earliest cities as the Harappan cities, or why the earliest civilization of the Indian subcontinent is known as Harappan civilization. Because the first site which was discovered by the archaeologist was Harappa in Punjab, that is in Pakistan, present day Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan में Punjab and Punjab में Harappa. So Harappa was the first site which was excavated, which was found by Harappa was the first site which was found by the archaeologist, and uh, after that, wherever the archaeologists found similar buildings, okay, they described all those sites as Harappan. Okay, now what was special about these cities? What were the important features of these Harappan cities? Okay, so now we will see the features of Harappan cities. Many of these cities were divided into two or more parts. Okay, not all the cities, but many of the cities were divided into two or more parts. usually the part to the west was smaller but higher. जो part west में होता था वो smaller होता था and but higher होता था, ठीक है। और जो पार्ट ईस्ट में होता था वो क्या होता था, वो बड़ा होता था। दिस was larger but lower. So there was two type of division in the western part. Mostly in all the cities, uh, the western part was higher and smaller, and the eastern part was larger and lower. And one more thing was there that this western part was described by the archaeologist as the citadel. And what is the citadel? Citadel is just like a castle on high ground near a city where people could go when the city was being attacked. You know, castle, killa, है ना? So this is citadel. The western part of the city was described as citadel, जहाँ पर कि एक castle है, and that castle is near a city. City is in the eastern part where all the people are living, and they will go in the citadel only when there is any kind of attack or any problem. So the east and west, this is the division, and the eastern part was called the lower town and the western was described as citadel. Very often walls of baked brick were built around each part. Both these parts were divided by the wall of brick, baked brick, ठीक है। पक्के ईंटे जो होते हैं, बेक किए हुए ईंटे, उनकी वॉल होती थी दोनों पार्ट्स के बीच में। द ब्रिक्स वर सो वेल बेक्ड दैट दे हैव लास्टेड फॉर thousands of years. These were the bricks which were found by the engineers and workers who were laying down the railway line in the Harappa city of Punjab. So you can just imagine the city was existing uh, around 4,700 years ago from today, from now. So these bricks were so strong that they have lasted for thousands of years. After passing of so many years, so many thousands of years have been passed, but the brick was intact, and that brick was used for another construction work by the workers, by the engineers. So the bricks were very strong, and they were laid in an interlocking pattern, and that made the wall strong. The bricks were laid in interlocking pattern. You understand the interlocking pattern? Uh, uh, Nowadays, in our city, you can witness the pavements are there is tiles is used for the pavement on the roads. These tiles are interlocking tiles. So, in the similar way, the bricks were interlocking. And because of this interlocking pattern, the walls were very strong. Okay, so this is also important, and the bricks were very well baked. In some cities, special buildings were constructed on the citadel. Okay, there are some cities where very special buildings were constructed. And the example is Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro is also a site. Okay, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. These are the important site of the these earlier cities. This is Mohenjo-daro, and you can see in the map. This is Harappa. Okay. In this regard, you must be seeing these all which places have been uh, mentioned in this map. These all places are Harappan sites. And you just notice all these places are in the Indus Valley region. This is Indus River, and all these important sites of the earlier cities, be it Harappa, Rakhigari, Kalibanga, Gan, Gan, Ganbariwal, Chanhudaro, Bolavira, Surkotda, Lothal, Sotka, Sotkako, Mohenjo-daro, all these sites are in the valley of the Indus River. So it is also called Indus Valley Civilization. Okay. Now we will see that in Mohenjo-daro, Mohenjo-daro is also in present-day Pakistan. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, both the most important sites of Harappan civilization are in Pakistan, present-day Pakistan. Okay, so Mohenjo-daro में हम क्या मिलता है हमें a very special tank, which archaeologists call the Great Bath. Okay, in this area, in the western part of the cities where citadel were constructed, uh, a very special tank was constructed in Mohenjo-daro, which the archaeologists call Great Bath. This was lined with bricks, coated with plaster, okay, and made watertight with a layer of natural tar. So, the tank about which we are talking, the tank was very special because it was lined with bricks, and these, after lining it with bricks, these were coated with plaster. One coating of plaster was done, and then as it was a tank, there will be water in the tank, so the tank must be watertight. Water should not pass out from the tank, and for this reason what they do what they did, that watertight was it was made watertight with a layer of natural tar. Okay, in this way it was made watertight. Water should not pass from one side to another. There were steps leading down to it from two sides, while there were rooms on all sides. We find that on the all sides of the tank there were rooms, and from two sides there were steps in order to get down in the tank. Okay, so steps say utar ke people can go down to the tank. Water was probably brought in from a well. It is not completely established facts. Okay, the archaeologists try to understand so many things by their imagination, by their whatever evidences they are getting, and they connect each evidence from another, and in this way they construct a whole story. So there is not surety about it, but it is very much possible that water was probably brought in from a well, and when the water is being used by the people, after the use the water was drained out. Perhaps important people took a dip in this tank on special occasions. So it is perhaps, it is again that the archaeologists are not fully knowing the fact. They are just connecting the evidences. They are just connecting various informations, and then they are coming to the conclusion that It may be the special tank may be used by important people to take a dip, okay, on a special occasion. कुछ special occasion पे जो important people होते होंगे वो उसमें शायद नहाते होंगे. So what was the purpose of special tank? This was the purpose. Then we find other cities also. Kalibanga, you can see it here. It is in present day Rajasthan. Kalibanga. Then Lothal, which is in Gujarat. Okay. Had fire altars where sacrifices may have been performed. In these two places, what is found by the archaeologist, that is fire altars, and these fire altars have been used, may have been used for sacrifices of animals. Must be animals who were being sacrificed by the people on these fire altars. And then there are some cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Lothal, which had elaborate storehouses. Storehouses were also found in these cities. So we are seeing that these are the fully developed cities. This is the remains of the Great Bath. Okay, you can see these are the steps which are used by people to get down in the tank, and one step is this side. Okay, and then there were rooms all the sides. Okay, so this is the picture of the Great Bath. Now we will see houses, drains and streets. What were the arrangement of houses, drains and streets in the earliest cities? Generally, houses were either 1 or 2 stories high. Okay, either 1 story high or 2 story high, with rooms built around a courtyard. In the center, there used to be a courtyard, and uh, around the courtyard there was rooms. Most houses had a separate bathing area, and some had wells to supply water. So, in order to take bath, people had a separate bathing area. Not in all houses, but in most of the houses there was a separate bathing area, and some had wells to supply water inside. In the house also, there was wells so that water can be supplied in sufficient volume. Then we see this is the arrangement of house, how houses were there in the earlier cities. Now we will come to the drains. In many of these cities, the drains were covered drains. This is very important. Even today, in our cities, we can find open drains. But the cities which were existing around 4,700 years ago, those cities had covered drains, and these drains were laid out in straight lines. It's not that टेढ़ा मेढ़ा नहीं होता था, ये बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट होता था. Okay, and all the drains had a gentle slope. Why the slope? So that water should not be stopped. If the slope is not there, then what happened? Because of any type of obstruction, the water can be stopped. But all the drains had a gentle slope, and in this way, water flew properly. Very often, drains in houses were connected to those on the streets, and smaller drains led into bigger ones. So, this was the arrangement of drains. The whatever is draining out from a house, that drain was connected to the drains on the street, and thus the smaller drains led into bigger ones. This is the proper system of drainage. It should be covered, it should be in a straight line, it should be it must have a gentle slope. Then the all the drains should be connected to each other, and it should be connected in such a way that smaller drains led into the bigger drains. So what the same system of drainage is applied even today. Okay, so we see that as the drains were covered, inspections holes were provided at intervals to clean them. All these are still we are using. We have inspection holes. You must have seen these inspection holes in on the road. Why these holes are there on the road? So that if suppose something is causing trouble in the flow of the water, then through these inspection holes what will be done, that whatever obstruction is there, whatever need to clean the drain, this drain can be cleaned through these inspection holes. So this the system was so much modern, and it was planned. Okay, all these things, houses, drains, and street, all these were built at the same time, because without planning, there cannot be so much cohesion in the city. Everything was planned, and this planned development of the city made it the one of the richest civilization on the of the world. Okay, so today uh, our discussion is over, and now we will meet tomorrow.